It's in the way we live. He loves those who strive, and through the mitzvah give. If we walk his path and sanctify his name in the Torah's light, we'll feel his love the same. But if you turn away, not keeping Shabbat, ignoring kosher ways, desecrating what's taught, how can we expect his love to shine when our hearts and actions don't align? It's not just words, it's what we do to show our love for him is true.
No, music's not forbidden. We're listening to it right now. We have a whole channel for music. B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We're back here to start a new week, Shavua Tov, Shavua Mevorach. We're back to our series of the Tzitzit Katan, getting closer and closer to the end of the series, and we're now going to complete this particular section of the Sefer. Tonight's shiur is going to be for the Refuah Shlema and Hatzlacha Rabba, for all of Am Yisrael that's under a war right now, being attacked by Iran, Yimach Shimam v'Zichram. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless and protect all of Am Yisrael from all of their enemies around the world, and B'ezrat Hashem bring nechama and hatzlacha to all those that have been hurt and are suffering and are victims as we speak right now. Also for le'avdil hatzlacha rabba for Rabbi Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Sarah bat Levana, Vimori David ben Nesriya, Imimorati Doris bat Jora, and all of Am Yisrael and all the righteous Noahides. Anyone that wants to donate and support, you could donate on our website, bezratashem.org. You could also join us in a new campaign we just launched today to help those that are in need in Israel as we speak. There was lots of missiles, hundreds and hundreds of missiles have been shot into Israel, and it seems like the situation is being handled in the news, but in reality it's not. There's 61 buildings have been hit just in Bat Yam, 6 of which the mayor says have to be demolished. There are hundreds of people that have become homeless overnight, hundreds of injuries, a few deaths. Bottom line is the situation is not pretty, and it's not simple at all. And there's a lot that we can do, which we'll talk about tonight. But aside from that, Rabotai, as I said on Friday, the short clip that I sent out after getting to a point of frustration with the endless amount of messages that I get, and I literally got 2 more just a few minutes ago from 2 different people about their frustrations. What are their frustrations? Their frustrations with the secular people, their frustrations with the zionists, their frustrations with the so-called fake religious people. There's a lot of frustrations out there. Now, the truth is that you could stay frustrated and complain about it, but it will do nobody good, not you or the people that you're frustrated about. Or you could try to help them by actually helping them do tshuva. And I recommended that on the video on Friday, that anyone can go out there and get some free stuff in our Kiruv store to distribute in their community, to at the very least help those people you're frustrated about. But if a person just wants to stay complaining, please stop sending me the messages of frustration. It's just simply a waste of time. Now, our shiur tonight is going to discuss that a little bit, but it's going to also help us understand what does it mean to be religious with a secular mind. Now, one of the greatest pleasures that a person could ever feel is after doing tshuva. Everything is new, everything is holy, everything is beautiful, and person is finally getting answers for the questions that he or she had their whole life, because they're finally found that the Torah is the truth, the Torah is from God. But unfortunately, some people lose that feeling after some time, and they may even go back to their past life, past friends, past mistakes, looking for answers. Rebbi Elimelech of Lezhenzk has taken us on a journey in this section of letting us know of how this 40 days tshuva into any aspect, trying to solve any type of character flaw, any type of deficiency that a person has, could be resolved within 40 days. And he's taken us into this journey, and now he's taking us to the final part of it, which is in fact the most difficult part, the part called diligence. Now at first, it seems like diligence only has to do with Torah study. But we quickly find out and realize that it's actually connected to everything. One of the prime examples is what we see today. It's a time where it's almost impossible to find anyone that's not discussing the war in Israel. Yet at the same time, it's much harder to find people that are actually taking action and being proactive about it. Many complain about the zionists, about the secularists, about the fake religious, about the heretics. But at the same time, they're not asking themselves a question of, what are you doing about it? This is all connected, and tonight we're going to see exactly how. Rebbi Elimelech has told us that if somebody wants to overcome any type of deficiency, whether it's a tendency to be stingy or angry, or someone that has arrogance, perhaps even someone that's too shy, can take this challenge of 40 days to address it a little bit every day. The cont, the stingy person, should give a little bit every day. Person that's shy could pray or read out loud every single day, as well as several other things to overcome their shyness. That is a shyness that's not good, shyness that leads to destruction. And the same thing goes with everything else. But what about the one that has problems when they're studying Torah? Rebbi Elimelech says, so too, someone who by nature is lax in their studies, where he should practice studying more than he normally does for 40 days. And each time, he should begin by looking into the Tzeitil Katan, and thereafter, heaven will help him break his bad personality traits more and more until they are gone. Of course, we have to delve into Rebbi Elimelech's holy words in order to understand what's really being said here. In so many words, he's not saying that a person is not studying Torah. He's talking about somebody that is studying Torah, but is not diligent. It's like a person that opens the book, and within moments of opening the book, they're already looking for distractions. Anybody send them a message? No. Oh, somebody else studying. What are you reading? What are you reading over there? Oh, Rashi? Oh, okay. Wow. What do you think of the news? What do you think is going to happen in Israel? You think this is Gog and Magog? And they're looking for conversations. They're looking for small talk. They're looking for distractions. There are countless people like this. I remember when I used to give a regular live shiur with an audience, one of the most frustrating things to deal with are certain people that would come not for the shiur, but rather for the socializing, where throughout any opportunity they would talk to each other. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Most of the time having nothing to do with what the shiur is about. They came to socialize. This is very common in synagogues, where people don't actually come to pray. I remember going to one particular synagogue on Shabbat, and I arrived a few minutes late, and I saw that there's literally a whole group of people that were just outside, talking, chit-chatting, with no intention or inclination to go inside to the shul. They only entered maybe 15 minutes after me, once they finished their political talk. There are many people like this, where they'll do the mitzvah, they'll read, they'll pray, but without much diligence. One of the great stories that has to do with this that I heard from my Rav was years ago. There was in the Mir Yeshiva, the Rosh Yeshiva was Rav Nachum Pertzovich. Rav Nachum Pertzovich was a Talmid Chacham, Tzaddik, walks in one day to the Bet Midrash, sees that everyone is studying, but as soon as he came in, everyone wanted to impress the Rav. He noticed that two of the students were, immediately as he came in, started saying, Tanu Rabbanan, Tanu Rabbanan. I would repeat it, as if they've been studying zealously for hours, and they're in the momentum, if you will. But he quickly walked over to them and said, I'm sorry, but we're studying Masechet Nedarim, which means that you're not studying either the same Masechet, or you're not studying at all, because the entire Masechet Nedarim does not have one time the words Tanu Rabbanan, that the sages taught us. Those two words do not appear in the entire Masechet. One, showing how he called these young boys out that were faking it, but at the same token, showing you the command of the Torah that he had, where literally knew where every word is, just like you know where everything is in your kitchen, everything is in your garage, everything is in your desk. He knew everything is in the Gemara, in the Torah. When this story was told to Rav Kanievsky, alav shalom, Rav Kanievsky smiled and says, well, there's actually something similar in the Masechet Nedarim on page 27, where it says, De Tanu Rabbanan. Meaning, yes, he's right, but there is something similar to it. Point being is, showing the command of the Torah of Rav Kanievsky. This type of lack of diligence happens in the yeshiva world, happens in the kollel world, but if it happens there, it's a given, and needless to explain of how it happens in the outside world, where a person is trying to learn, and all of a sudden somebody is distracting him, wanting to talk to him about something. All of a sudden he has a question. All of a sudden he cares about the news. All of a sudden he needs the time. All of a sudden he does not have a watch. In so many words, these types of things happen where people are looking for some type of distraction. And one of the main reasons for it is because they are not glued to the Torah. They're not enjoying the Torah. Rav Shteinman, alav shalom, had a very healthy mind and understood the human mind very well. So when one of the Rashi Yeshivot came to him and asked him of a strategy, what he thought of a strategy that the Rosh Yeshiva was looking to implement, he said the Bachurim in the Yeshiva waste a lot of time every so often going to get coffee, every hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, different people, different needs. He said this perhaps wastes a lot of time, so I thought maybe we should get somebody to just distribute coffee every couple of hours. What does the Rav think? Rav Shteinman says, no, don't do that. Because although the Bachurim leaving their Gemara every couple of hours to go get a coffee may seem like a waste of time, this wasted time is necessary and helpful for their long-term commitment into the Torah, because everyone needs a little bit of time to break. So no one is expecting, even in the world of yeshivot, for anyone to sit there like Rav Kanievsky and Rav Kaduri and all Gdolei Israel that could literally sit in a chair for hours upon hours without moving away from the Gemara. It's understandable that the younger a person is in the world of Torah, not necessarily a biological age, just generally how long they've been learning Torah, the more difficulty they're going to have in staying glued to the Torah for an extended period of time. It's understandable. But there are some times where a person doesn't understand the significance of the Torah that they learn, and they start looking for answers elsewhere. They start looking for distractions elsewhere. In the Gemara in Masechet Sukkah, on page 52, and also in the Gemara in Masechet Kiddushin, page 30, says that if a person has an evil inclination, all of a sudden he's thinking about his past Wall Street success, his past girlfriends, her past boyfriends, their past crimes, the past this, the past that. They have all of the, how they used to be young, how they used to be this, how they used to be that. Those are all thoughts of the Yetzer. You want to solve the problems of the Yetzer? Go learn Torah. Go learn Torah. Why? Because the Yetzer is going to come to you in different ways. Sometimes it's going to come to you with money problems. Other times it's going to come to you with family problems. Other times it's going to come to you with physical problems. Other times it's going to come to you with all types of friendship problems, all types of issues. The Gemara tells us specifically that the Yetzer has 7 names, not because no one chose a name for him, but rather because there's different aspects of the Yetzer where he has new ways, reinventing himself on a regular basis and customizing it to who he is about to attack. But the Torah is the only solution. And that's why the Gemara in Masechet Megillah says that learning Torah is even more important than saving a life. And that's the reason why the Yetzer will do everything possible in order to distract you, in order to get you off, in order to get you to not pay as much attention. He'll let you learn Torah, but not for an extended period of time. He'll let you learn Torah, but not with your full attention. He'll distract you with some phone calls, he'll distract you with some messages, he'll distract you with some type of somebody looking for your time and your patience. So much so that he'll even distract you with something that you think is a mitzvah. How many times have you guys at least heard about people talking about how the Yetzer is bad, and he convinced your cousin or your uncle, your parents, or whoever you know, or even you in the past to fall for some particular sin, and how this guy doesn't understand that the tshuva is good, and this guy doesn't understand that learning Torah is good, and this girl doesn't understand that being modest is good, and you keep talking about how the Yetzer is fooling people, and the Yetzer is this, and the Yetzer. People love to talk about that. The Ponivitcher Rav walked into his Bet Midrash seeing 1,000 Bachurim learning, except 2. He saw them, came over to them, and quickly the boys realized the Rav is coming and said, "Oh, for the Rav, who are just amazed right now. We're having this discussion about how the Yetzer must be suffering right now, because we know that the Torah says that every time you learn Torah, you're destroying the Yetzer. If he is a stone, he explodes. If he is a piece of metal, he melts. So we're just thinking, what is the Yetzer thinking about right now when he sees 1,000 Bachurim learning Torah like this?" The Ponivitcher Rav says to them, "I'll tell you exactly what the Yetzer is saying. He's saying, Keep talking about me as much as you want, for as long as you want, however you want. Just don't study Torah. Keep talking about me, but don't study Torah. Many times people talk about the problem so much, they forget the solution. The same goes with learning Torah. The problem with a person that's not diligent is not that he doesn't come to learn Torah. It's not that he doesn't come to the Shiur Torah. He'll put it on, but he won't pay attention. He'll attend, but his mind is not there as he's looking at his phone. She'll even tell people she went to the Shiur Torah or watched it. But the moment somebody asked them, what did the rabbi say? Oh, I don't remember everything, but you should watch it. It's good. It's not that she doesn't remember everything. She doesn't remember anything. They attend, but they're not present. A person can talk about the importance and the greatness of learning Torah with the Gemara open in front of him. So much so that by the time he finishes talking about it, time is up and he hasn't even opened the daf. He hasn't even opened the book yet. The Yetzer will come to you in all types of ways just to make sure you don't study. Yet he'll give you the feeling that you're doing good. Rav Pinchas, alav shalom, used to say that an Avreich must come to the kollel on time. But in order for him to do that, he has to deal with a lot of obstacles. Why? Because you're Avreich, you have a family, you have to get the kids to school, to the yeshiva, breakfast, get everything ready in the morning, a lot going on in the morning. So to get to the Bet Midrash by 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:10, it's not so simple. So sometimes you'll see the Avreichim running in a hurry to get there before 9 o'clock, to get there before 9 and 10 minutes. He gets there at 9:10, 9:09. He's happy. He sits down for a second. He says, Baruch Hashem, I get here on time. And then Rav Pinchas says, and then he gets up. He says, all right, let me get a coffee. Relax before I start studying. And he goes, makes himself a coffee, relaxes from the run, the sweat, the anxiety. And by the time he starts studying, it's 9:30. He says, it's too bad. Too bad that he started the day with the coffee. He could have started studying first and then the coffee later on, and a half hour later. Why? Because now that he started off the day with the coffee, that means that all of that toil, all of that running, all of that sweat was for the sake of the coffee. Had he started the day with a few words of Torah, then that means that all of that toil, all of that sweat would have been for the sake of Torah. What merit he would have gotten in Shemayim. So the Yetzer fools the great ones among us, the ones that have committed themselves to Torah day and night. Needless to say, he fools those that are not among the great ones, the regular people, the people that like the Torah. They'll even watch a Shiur Torah. They'll come every Tuesday night and attend. They're one of the regulars. But if you ask them, what did the rabbi say? They have no clue. If you ask them, what did you implement into your life after last week's shiur? They look at you like you have 3 heads on. What are you talking about? What did I commit? I listened to Shiur Torah. It's not enough? No. The point of the Shiur Torah, the point of the Sefer Torah, the point of learning Torah is to take something upon yourself and improve just a little bit. A small improvement every day turns out and adds up to become a big improvement over a long period of time. But when a person has put themselves on neutral, where as long as I show up, as long as I attend, I'm already doing enough. They don't realize that they have fallen into one of the most deadly traps of the Satan that exists for the religious people. A person could literally sit in a bet midrash for 8 hours, but study only a few minutes. How so? Every few minutes he has a distraction. He's there for 8 hours, but every few minutes it's the phone, it's a phone call, it's the bathroom, it's a cigarette, it's small talk, it's big talk, it's this, it's that. He's learning without diligence, without commitment. And that, Rabotai, leads to problems. What kind of problems? It can even get to a point where a person can leave the Torah altogether. How so? The Gemara in Masechet Chagigah, page 12, says that a person that is in the process, in the middle of learning Torah, but leaves it in order to deal with mundane things, with small talk, is going to be punished by being fed gechalim retamim. This is special coals of fire that they have in Shamayim. Shem Yerachem. Why? He was in the middle of a shiur Torah. He decided to go take a phone call to see what his friends are doing. Decided to take a phone call to talk to his insurance company. Now this, Rabotai, is not just scary as far as afterlife, but rather it gives us a perspective that gets us closer to the answer of why a person would go from learning Torah to abandoning everything. Now, these gechalim retamim, the Gemara says, one of the things that's unique about them is that they never go out. The fire never ends from them. On the other side of the spectrum, if you put a pot of water on fire, but then take it off before it boils, then after a few minutes, you put it back on. And then after a few moments, you take it off. And then after a few minutes, you put it back on. And then after a few minutes, you take it off, never letting the water boil. Would the water ever boil? No. The water will never boil, no matter how many times and for how long you do this. The same thing goes with Torah study. Each time you learn Torah, as the amount of time becomes more consecutive, more in-depth, more focused, you are lighting up your neshama. But every time you allow yourself to fall for another distraction, another message that you saw somebody else write on the board that you feel you need to answer to, another phone call you take, another message you address, another this, another that, each time you're taking that soul that's being lit up with purity, with pure fire, and you're turning it off. And what ends up happening is one day the person wakes up and he says to the rabbi, I lost my desire to learn Torah. I don't know why, I liked it, but I don't feel like doing it anymore. The answer is, you weren't learning Torah. What do you mean? I came to every shiur. I watched 1,000 videos. No, you turned it on. You listened like it's background music or elevator music, but you weren't learning Torah. Learning Torah means you have to be completely focused and everything else does not exist, to the maximum effort. When it's not that, and you simply take yourself in and out of it at will and on a regular basis, then certainly you will not have the impact from the Torah, because it's just like the pot of water that you put on the fire and off the fire, on the fire and off the fire, on and off, it'll never boil. That neshama will never receive the nourishment that it's supposed to get. And therefore, you not wanting to learn is not because you don't want to learn Torah. It's because you've abused your neshama to such a point of suffering that you think that stopping altogether is the cure, when it's actually the opposite. Now, of course, this is not something that's new for this generation or for people that are watching. This is something that rabbis have been dealing with throughout all of history, at different levels, of course. One Bachul came up to my dear Rabbi Ephraim and told him that he has a tough time learning Torah, young guy, and to learn with such attention and focus like the rabbi is talking about. He says, I don't know how I could do that. So Rabbi Ephraim asks, well, how long can you stay focused for? He says 1 minute. That means that in 60 minutes, he has countless distractions. His focus ends after 1 minute. Is there a solution for such a person? Now, of course, in the secular world, immediately everybody will tag this person as attention deficit disorder, autistic, some type of deficiency. In reality, Yetzer, that's what it is. It's not attention deficit disorder, it's not na'alaim, it's nothing. It's simply Yetzer, got you. Solution? Torah. Yeah, but Torah, you can only have attention for 1 minute. Yes, now it's only 1 minute. But Rebbi Elimelech of Lezhenzk provided us a solution. So Rabbi Ephraim tells him, simple. 1 minute is what you start with. Today, try to do 1 minute and 15 seconds. Tomorrow, 1 minute and 30 seconds. These are small increments. I'm not telling you to go from 1 minute to a half hour. That's too big for you. Grow from 1 minute and 15 seconds to 1 minute and a half. In full attention. Nothing exists for a minute and a half. And continue increasing just a little bit every single day for 40 days. And you will see that after 40 days, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help you break that problem. If a person wants to fix any problem, Rebbi Elimelech of Lezhenzk says, all it requires is a 40-day commitment. A 40-day commitment, and you could fix something for life. Now, of course, it requires further work for the rest of your life. But the most difficult part is to break that klipa during the first 40 days. Now, one of the difficult problems that you see in the Baal Tshuva world is that a person initially gets into the world of Tshuva, starts becoming religious, sometimes decides to change his appearance, grow a beard, puts a kippah on, listens to Shurei Torah. In the beginning, everything is exciting. Everything is beautiful. Everything is new. But then he starts realizing that there's a lot that he doesn't know. He doesn't know Ilchot Shabbat. Doesn't know Ilchot Tarat Mishpacha. He's married. Doesn't know all the details about Kashrut. There's so much that he needs to learn. He says, you know what? I'm going to push and go all in. And he starts without any guidance from his rabbi that helped him do tshuva, without any understanding of what he's doing. He decides what could go wrong with just learning Torah non-stop. I'm not going to I don't need to learn from the shurim anymore. I'll just go straight to the Gemara, straight to Shulchan Aruch, straight to the books, and I'll learn 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day. Sounds great. Unfortunately, more times than not, that young man will end up going up, 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 crash. Why? Why does that happen, that a person could learn and be Baal Tshuva for 2, 3, 4, 5 years? He's learning. But at some point or another, he loses the taste for it. So much so that he starts looking for answers from his past. Past sins, past mistakes, past problems. He's not looking for his answers in the Torah. Why is that? Well, the easiest way to understand is, imagine somebody who's not a professional driver, who goes on a race, in a race car, and he sees that he only has a few laps to go, and everyone else on the race, all the professional drivers, they're all stopping to get gas. But he says, listen, if I just push to the limits, I'll beat them. Even though he has only a little bit of gas left, I'm going to go for it. Because I can get ahead. And he pushes his car. And before he knows it, he runs out of gas. And everyone else passes him, and he loses and gets last place. Had he stopped for the gas, he would have had a much better chance. What many Baalei Tshuva do not realize is that for you to go from 0 to a Torah scholar in one day is not exactly the ideal path. And the reason why is because even the Avrechim, even the Bachurim, even those that are in the world of Torah need gas. Sometimes the gas that they get is the same as yours, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the Torah talk and Shiur Torah from their rabbi, sometimes it's something else. But for you, what ignited you, what got you on the path, was the Shiur Torah. That's the gas. That's the part that you need every so often, that is less extreme perhaps than the books in your opinion. But in reality, just like Rav Shteinman said, it's a necessary tool for the long-term development of a person. And many times a person does not realize it, abandons their foundation in order to go to some higher level that they think they need to get to, only to end up in a lower level than they began. Because without having some type of influence, some type of guidance, some type of spiritual gas, a person is bound to crash. There was one guy that I met about a year and a half ago. I knew him for a while, not personally, but just knew of him. He decided to do tshuva a few years ago. He says that he's been influenced by my shurim and so on. He watches the shurim and many other rabbis. I said, great, well, who is your rabbi? He says, no, I don't have a rabbi. I said, why not? He said, no, I just learned from the Shiur Torah. So I started telling him how important it is to have a rabbi, and if he can't find one, I'd be happy to help him. But I saw that this unlike perhaps the shulim that he watched online, these words went over his head. He wasn't paying really attention. He wasn't interested in having a rabbi. He was interested in having the Ramchal as his rabbi, in the Arizal being his rabbi, in YouTube being his rabbi. There's not much you can do. So when someone told me a few weeks ago that he has reversed in his path, I don't know to what degree, but from what some people say, it seems like he completely reversed, like a U-turn. I wasn't surprised. When you do not have guidance of how to get to where you need to, you're bound to get lost. And thinking that you can beat the system, thinking that you're good on your own, thinking that you are simply too good to follow in the same path as Am Yisrael had in the last 3,300 years, is bound to have a very, very nasty crash. Rebbi MiSalant, when he first started the Mussar movement, he had a lot of people going and rejecting him and disputing it. But of course, we all see the results. The Mussar movement has transformed Judaism, and the foundation of many of yeshivot today are sitting on the shoulders of Rabbi MiSalant and his Talmidim. The Saba Novardok, the Saba Mislabotka. One time, this Baalei, regular guy, came to Rabbi MiSalant after shiur, and he told him, Rabbi, you're saying that learning Torah is important. I get it. I need to start. But which part of the Torah should I learn? I only have 5 minutes a day. I mean, learning the Chumash is important, but also learning Halakha, I need to know what to do. But the same token, there's all types of things that I'm interested in, the Zohar and mystical stuff, Kabbalah. Then there's Mussar. What should I learn? Rabbi MiSalant says, learn Mussar. The guy was surprised. He says, Rabbi, why Mussar? I mean, what am I going to learn from Mussar? I mean, I need to know halachot, so I know what to do, or I need to the weekly parasha, a few minutes every day, maybe I'll finish the whole parasha. Rabbi Israel said, no, you learn Mussar. Why Mussar? He says, because once you learn Mussar, that 5 minutes a day, within a short period of time, you'll realize that you have a lot more than 5 minutes a day. That's what Mussar is going to teach you. That's the guidance you need to have. To know that you have a lot more than 5 minutes a day. And a lot of people don't realize that they have a lot more than 5 minutes a day. But the Yetzer convinces them that they don't. But the Gemara says, in Masechet Shabbat, on page 104, that someone that comes to be purified is helped by HaShem. It's helped by HaShem. So a person that comes to learn, person that comes to fix themselves, is helped by HaShem. So in the beginning, many times you see that a Baal Tshuva, or a new person that's newly a convert, sometimes you'll see they have literally open miracles. Amazing things. Parnasah, zivug, health, all types of things. Their learning is advancing very quickly. But then, after that honeymoon is done, it's as if it all stops. It's as if they have a new Yetzer. The truth is, it's not a new Yetzer. He's always been there. It's just that HaShem has been shielding you from it for a little while, just to give you a head start. So now when a person hears, wait, you're saying that someone that comes to be purified, heaven helps him, I don't feel like HaShem is helping me lately. All of a sudden I have a problem with finances, all of a sudden I have a problem with the health, all of a sudden I have a problem with the people in the community, all of a sudden my boss is on me, all of a sudden this, all of a sudden that. So how is it that Hashem is, helping if, like it says? The simple answer is, if you don't see divine assistance at all, that means that you didn't come to be purified. Now, of course, this is initially going to anger every single person that's in that situation. What do you mean? You know how I tried? You know what I did? When I first started, I donated this, and I started this, and 5 years ago, when I first started, I sacrificed this, and I left this. Yes, that's all great. You did a lot of things when you got started, and you got a lot of results when you got started. Are you doing the same level of commitment now? Not so much. In fact, Rabotai Karim, one of the things that most people do not realize is that you cannot become purified if you're still holding tum'ah in your hand. The sages teach that in order for a person to have his impurity removed, if he touched a dead sheretz, like a dead lizard, if you will, or some type of crawling animal that brought tum'ah, he had to go to a mikveh, to Beit HaMikdash. Now, if he continued to hold, let's just call it lizard or dead rat, in his hand, while he's dipping in the mikveh, did he become pure? No. What if he dipped, instead of once, he dipped 1,000 times? 1,000 dips. I mean, that in itself takes an enormous amount of time and effort. Did his tumah, does an impurity get removed as a result of so much effort? No. Why? Because the tumah is still in his hand. But the moment that he lets go of the impurity, only one dip will suffice, and he'll become pure, and she will become pure. One dip is all it takes. But that one dip has to be after you let go of the impurity. Some people are not willing to let go of the impurity. They're not willing to let go of the bad behavior, the bad thoughts, the bad ideology that they brought with them from the secular world. So yes, she put on a kisui rosh. Yes, she has a dress on. Yes, he has a kippah on. He perhaps even grew a beard. Yes, they go to shul. But they also brought the arrogance. They also brought the stinginess. They also brought the clubs and the movies and the parties. So they look religious. They act religious sometimes. But they still like to watch movies. They still like to go to a party here and there and dance, even though it's men and women dancing together. They still like to make a few dollars in a corrupt way. But they look religious. So they're dipping in the mikveh with the sheretz in their hand. And therefore, Rabotai, Chachamim say that they have not come to be purified. And that's why they lose that feeling of joy from the Torah, from the mitzvot. And if they continue in this path, they could even get to a point where they could literally look for answers from their secular friends and secular life, because they're not seeing it in the world of Torah they think they have. What is this like? The tribes in Africa discovered a way to catch monkeys without using nets, without shooting them, without even killing them. It's a very simple, cheap, and efficient trick. How so? They realized that monkeys like certain types of food. But even more than liking the food, they refuse to let go. So these hunters decided there's a fantastic way to catch a monkey and be able to sell him alive. How? Get a little box, put some roasted peanuts, or all types of other foods that create smell and is also food that the monkeys like. Close the box and make a small hole in the box that's just enough for the monkey to be able to put his hand in it straight and be able to grab the food. And as soon as the monkey would smell it, quickly he would run, get the food, grab it, but then close his hand, and his hand would not be able to get out of the hole. Because why? Because now that he closed his hand, it became bigger, too big for the hole. And the monkey would start screaming and yelling. And as soon as the hunters hear a monkey scream, immediately they come and capture the monkey. Now, even though the monkey sees these hunters are coming for him, he continues to scream, trying to pull his hand with the food, trying to pull his hand with his food. All he has to do is let go of the food, and his hand will be free. But the monkey is a monkey. And the monkey doesn't realize that what's holding him back is the stuff that's in his hand that he refuses to let go. Sometimes, when a person encounters some type of major obstacle in his way, where he's already on the path of Torah, of mitzvot, she's already on the path of Torah, of mitzvot, but then they feel like they hit a roadblock. They're not progressing. They don't feel the same desire and joy as they did when they first did teshuva. What they're not realizing is that until now, HaShem gave you a honeymoon for a year, for 5 years, could even be for 10 years. He let you go with the food in your hand over and over again. But now it's time to elevate you. Now it's time to get to the next level. In order to get to the next level, in order to feel true joy, you have to let go of the garbage that you brought from the secular world. It's time to let go of the nightclubs, of the movies, of the fakeness, of the corrupt business, of the fake, horrible character traits that make you seem like you're friendly when in reality you hate everyone, of the horrible things that a person feels in their heart while their face looks otherwise. Sometimes it's bitterness, sometimes it's stinginess, sometimes it's selfishness where they only care about themselves. These things have to be removed in order for you to feel the joy of the next stage of Torah. But what can we do that sometimes people act like monkeys? Rebbi MiSalant says that Mussar is the first thing you need to learn in order to know that you have a lot more time. One of the things that you're also going to learn from Mussar is that teshuva requires 3 things. 1, vidui. Vidui is chatanu, avinu, pashanu, admitting that you made the mistakes. 2 is regret. Regretting you made the mistakes. And the 3rd one is to abandon the sin. Now a person can say, yeah, I went there, I did this, I did that. I drove on Shabbat, I took this, I took that. Yeah. They can stop doing it even for a while. But the most common denominator that kills many Baalei Tshuva and even many people that are in a religious household and religious environment, that suddenly go off, that suddenly lose their desire. The one common denominator is that yes, they admitted they made a mistake, or they did something, they abandoned it, they stopped doing it for a while, but they don't regret it. They don't regret going to places they're not allowed to go to. They don't regret stealing money or cheating people. They don't regret doing all types of immoral things. In fact, they sometimes take pride in it. Like this one singer that did tshuva and became famous for the tshuva. Even seems like even more famous than he was as a singer. And one day, one of the Rabbanim that we know in Israel sat next to him in some type of event where he was there talking, giving people chizuk on Shabbat, Shabbaton. And while somebody else was talking, this former singer, now Baal Tshuva, tells a rabbi, you know who I was when I was secular? All the girls would chase after me. You don't understand what we used to do. We used to party. We used to this. This is the Shabbat talk that this Baal Tshuva had in his mind. Meaning, yes, he's wearing a kippah, and yes, he has the beard. But although he abandoned the things of the past, although he admitted that those are the things of the past, he doesn't regret it. And Rabbeinu Yonah says in Sharet Tshuva, what regretting the sins means is getting to a point where a person says, I wish I did not do that. I wish I did not make money that way. I wish I did not make those particular sins. Meaning getting to a point where a person truly regrets all of those things. Why? Because sometimes when a person still takes pride in their past life that they took and they stole and they did this and they did that, and their party life when they were a kid, and when they, all of the people that like to, talk and commiserate, if you will, because they're not proud of their current life as much as they're proud of their past sins. So they talk about how they used to make all those sins and have a good time. Don't be surprised if one day they decide to go back to those sins, just like that singer did. One day, he was tired of talking about his past. He wanted to relive it. And unfortunately, this happens all too often with people that make their whole new life talking about their past life and taking pride in their past life, not realizing that what HaShem gave them is the opportunity of an eternity, of something better than they could ever have in any other way. This is no different than a person that goes to rehab because he has a drug problem. And of course, anyone that's familiar with rehab, I have several people that have tried to help them with it over the years, and you know who's going to succeed and who's not before they even go. Before they even go. Why their mentality? How are they going to this rehab? Are they going to stop? Are they looking for help to stop this addiction? Or are they only looking to satisfy a few concerned parties and wasting $20,000, $30,000 of their money in the process? Well, this one guy went to the rehab, and of course, as soon as he got to the rehab, they check his bags. And they were astonished when they saw that he wasn't even hiding the drugs that he brought with him. Usually people try to sneak some of that stuff in when they're not really looking for the rehab to help them. They're just looking to make their parents happy because they're giving them money or their boss happy, but really they're planning on going back to the addiction after. So they usually hide it. This guy wasn't even trying to hide it. So they asked him, why'd you bring all this stuff? He said, well, I figured you guys don't have it over here, so I brought. Meaning he came with no intention whatsoever of stopping. Sometimes a person comes to the world of the Torah without any intention of regretting and forsaking the mistakes of the past. And what ends up happening is that when that person is introduced to learning Torah, their mind is way too dirty, too impure to be able to focus for more than just a few minutes, because he's still thinking about the dirt that he still thinks is good. He's still thinking about girls, he's still thinking about money, he's still thinking about stealing, he's still thinking about movies, he's still thinking about living a movie, he's still thinking about all those things. He admires the celebrities, he admires the socialites. So for him, he's trying to figure out how could he be that, but in the world of Torah. And that's why you see that he has an impossible time learning Torah. And in fact, can even get to a point where he starts losing his desire for Torah to the point where he looks for answers from the wrong place. This is why the Navi Yeshaya, Isaiah, said in chapter 55, verse number 7, he gave us a pretty clear verse for every person that is doing tshuva, that has done tshuva. What do you need to do? Ya'azov rasha darko, וישאב אל מחשבותיו וישוב אל אדוני וירחמהו ואל אלוהינו כי ירבה לסלוח. Let the rasha, the wicked one, forsake his ways, and the iniquitous man forsake his thoughts. Let him return to HaShem, and he will show him mercy. Here, the prophet tells you, if you want mercy from HaShem, to forgive you for all of the bad sins, to forgive you for all the things that you made as a mistake, it's not enough that you did a few good things when you first started. It's not enough that you had some sacrifices that you made when you first started, during the first few years. It's not enough. You have to continue with even greater momentum to do more and more, especially when it comes to forsaking the past, especially when it comes to abandoning those thoughts of ever going back, especially when it comes to thinking that what you did in the past was not wrong. The more a person delves into what HaShem wants and compares it to where their life is, the more they realize they have a lot more work to do. But what happens is that sometimes people do not have someone to guide them, or even when someone tries to guide them, they don't want to listen. Oh, what do you know? How do you know? I'm different. There are very, very few people that are willing to accept Mussar. When the Gemara says that, I don't know if there's anybody out there that can give Mussar, it wasn't that you shouldn't teach Mussar, but rather that we are at such a point where you can teach Mussar to the masses, but to really truly teach Mussar and give Mussar to an individual is almost impossible, not because the teacher has a problem of giving it, but rather because the people that are supposed to be students, they're only willing to be students when you're talking about everybody but them. They're willing to listen to a shiur that has things that have to do with everyone else, and they can pick and choose what has to do with them. But the moment you tell them, listen, you're wrong about this, you have to fix this, you made a mistake here, not only do they reject it, but they literally treat it as if it's poison and run away from the source of help. This, Rabotai Karim, may seem like it only has to do with Torah, but it really has to do with everything. When you see a world where everyone understands that, unfortunately at this point, the majority of the Jewish people in the world today are not Shomrei Shabbat. 80% or so are not observing Shabbat. Anyone that even knows the 13 principles of faith, 13 things, not even the entire Shulchan Aruch, the 13 principles of faith, knows that our Torah does not change, and also knows that HaShem rewards the righteous and punishes the wicked. That means that the Jews that do not keep Shabbat, needless to say the rest of the mitzvot, are going to be severely punished. That means that anyone that truly believes that and is not doing anything about it on a regular basis has fallen into the trap of the Satan, thinking that they're doing enough. Anyone that has friends, family, neighbors, colleagues, community members, people you see once in a while, and you know they're not following the Torah, or needless to say, if they're heretics and they're following falsehood, and you are not proactive about it to try to help, whether it's those people or the rest of Am Yisrael, that means that you yourself have fallen into the trap of the Satan, thinking that you're doing enough. There's not literally an hour that passes by that someone does not send me a question about what I'm going to talk about, or give me a suggestion of what I should talk about in the next lecture. Why? Because they have some sort of complaint about the secular Jews and the lefty Jews and the Zionist Jews and the heretic Jews and all of these problematic Jews, not realizing that instead of complaining about them, you should go try and help them. Not by telling me what to say. I already know, Baruch Hashem, what to say from my rabbi. But rather by actually trying to help those people by either giving them some material to review, to rethink, to understand their mistakes. And furthermore, to see what kind of resources you have to help the cause. But what can we do that people are more inclined to spend $50,000 on bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs and Hanukkah parties and all types of things that are not necessary, at least not to that level. But when you tell them, listen, there is a new book that's coming out to help people that are not religious. There's a new a tool. There's a poor people in Israel. There's Avreichim. There's Torah scholars. There's Kiruv. There's all types of opportunities to support Torah. Okay, I'll give $100. Okay, fine. So you don't want to give money for it. At least give time. Why don't you take some of the things we invested hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on and give it to people in your community? Oh, I don't know if they're going to like it. How do you know they're not going to like it? Well, you're in everybody's mind. Have you become omnipresent and omnipotent too during your tshuva for the last 5 or 10 years? The problem, Rabotai Karim, is that people are making the same mistake that was made on them. They're nonchalant when it comes to helping other people do tshuva. They don't make it a priority. They're more inclined to invest money into vacations and into material things than they are into investing into helping other people do tshuva. Furthermore, they decide for other people what people could handle. Just like the rabbis chose not to tell me the truth for years that they came to my office because they decided that I wouldn't be able to handle it. Somehow they knew I wouldn't be able to handle it. Interestingly enough, I was able to handle it when I finally heard it. And people are deciding for other people what they can handle and what they can't handle. Who are you to decide for them what they can handle? Just give them the material and walk away. Let them decide like adults. Stop white labeling everything and censoring everything and doing everything in some unique way. Just help people by showing them the direction. What ends up happening, Rabotai, is that instead of the new Baalei Tshuva, the new converts, the new people that have discovered the truth, becoming an army of HaShem to help the next generation become even greater, many people simply decide to focus on themselves and become more self-centered and selfish than they were before they did Tshuva. They figure that, yes, I need to learn Torah, so I'll spend all my time learning Torah. And it's great that you're learning Torah. But what about your brothers and sisters that are behind? If you're a convert, why can't you learn from the top convert in history, Yitro, that went back to his people until he converted everybody? Why can't you learn from the greatest Baalei Tshuva like Rabbi Akiva, that until he got everyone to learn Torah, he didn't stop? Many times people simply forget that they're not alone. Yes, it's good you did Tshuva, but why did you forget everybody else? Perhaps the answer is because while you put a kippah on, you put a kisui rosh on, you put some modest clothes on, you start keeping Shabbat and kosher food, perhaps you brought the tum'ah of selfishness with you from the secular world. And let this reminder be the one that you use to see that while you're dipping in the mikveh, you still have a sheretz in your hand. Rabotai Karim, 80% of Am Yisrael is not keeping Shabbat right now. We are all at fault. If you know that a Jew has to keep Shabbat, a Jew has to keep kosher, a Jew has to protect his brit, and you're not doing anything about it, then guess what? In Shemaim, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks you, what did you do for me to bring Mashiach? You're not going to have an answer that's a good answer. Yeah, but I did Tshuva. Yes, but what about your brother? Yeah, I helped you do Tshuva. Hashem is going to tell you, I made miracles for you to do Tshuva. But that's because I knew that you had the potential to bring 500 people with you. Why did you become selfish suddenly after you did Tshuva? Why did you keep those horrible creatures in your hand while you were dipping in the mikveh? Rabotai Karim, we have to understand that complaining about the lefty liberals and the zionists and the heretics and the goyim that are bad and all that stuff, that's not going to help Am Yisrael. Knowing the current events and the current news is not going to help Am Yisrael. There's only one thing that can help Am Yisrael, and that is the ways of the Torah. Learning Torah and doing chesed. The ultimate chesed is to bring somebody to Torah. Sometimes you also need to make sure that the person stays alive, so you have to give him money to eat so he can come to Torah. But needless to say, Rabotai Karim, don't use the Torah to justify selfishness. Because what ends up happening with people that are selfish, with people that still have the bad traits of the past, is one day they lose that desire that kept them motivated all this time, that got them excited to go to shul, got them excited to pray and buy a bunch of books, even though they're not going to read all of them. One day they don't feel like learning anything. Why not? Because while Hashem was making miracles for you during the honeymoon stage, for those first 10 years, At some point he says, okay, now I want to see what you can do on your own. Did you at the very least realize that you have to get your brothers and sisters to join you? Or you're only going to pretend as if you've been religious your whole life and you want to fit into the religious community? I promise you, no one will survive the judgment if they did not try to help Am Yisrael do tshuva. Doesn't matter what mitzvot they did. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us 3,000 years to help Am Yisrael do tshuva. He didn't wait all this time so he could destroy 80% of us. Something has to change. Tshuva means to get your brothers and sisters to return to HaShem, to follow His Torah. If you have already done it for yourself, you have to, at the very least, make one of the top priorities in your life from now on to help others do tshuva, just like you. Just like you saved yourself from the abyss, you have to help others. And if you don't, you'll be punished for it. Because while you kept Shabbat and other mitzvot, you still stayed a selfish animal. Rabotai Karim, we have a disaster facing us from Iran, from Yemen, from all of the enemies. HaShem can destroy them in a second. Can eliminate the enemy just like that. Just like He has countless times in history. We just have to give Him a reason. While everybody talks about unity and loving each other, where's the love when it comes to helping other people do tshuva? Rabotai, to help a person do tshuva, to help a person realize that he has to follow Torah, realize that they have to follow HaShem, is the greatest kindness you could ever do. At the very least, it should be more of a priority to you than a new kitchen and a new watch and a lot of material things that are out there. Because just like you benefited, you have to help others. Just like you were saved, you have to help others. If not, then you're no different than a religious person with a secular mindset. Because that's the way secular people think. Just themselves. Hopefully this is going to wake up a few people that are sleeping at the wheel. And instead of complaining about all of the liberalism and the problems in the world, they could join us and help us do something about it. If you're concerned about your brothers and sisters that are suffering and have become homeless overnight in Israel after the attack, you could help us with the campaign where we're looking to distribute food, money, and everything that's necessary to as many people as possible. There are already over 600 families that have become homeless overnight. We're trying to do whatever we can. You could join. If that's not your cup of tea, you're too stingy, you're too poor, no problem. You have arms and legs, you live in a Jewish community, go to the Kiruv store, order some of the things we have there and distribute it in your community. Give a book, give a USB in people's hand. Distribute hundreds, thousands of them. It's free. All it costs you is time. But if you're not willing to do this or the other, then don't be surprised that when you go up to Shemaim, they call you a secular Jew that looked religious. Perhaps this is coming from a frustration that there's not more being done by Am Yisrael, but that frustration is coming from the pain that I have for my brothers and sisters that still don't know the truth and are literally at risk right now of losing their eternity. Rabotai Karim, it's time for all of us to do something about it. Stop sitting comfortably on your couch like some potato because the missiles are not pointing at you. Don't think that the war of Gog and Magog stops here. This is just the beginning. And whoever doesn't help Am Yisrael will not be part of the salvation. The time to help is now. You can help them do tshuva, you can help them eat, you can help them do both. Start with something. This, Rabotai Karim, is what Rebbi Elimelech of Lezhenzk started in telling us that whatever is stopping us from growing, from improving, we could fix. It starts off with 40-day commitment to break the klipa, to make the change. A little bit every day. May seem like a long, arduous path. But if you don't look at when the end is and focus on the journey, you'll end up enjoying it and even getting much further than you thought. Start today, and Be'ezrat HaShem, we will all succeed in saving our brothers and sisters, not only from Iran and all of the physical enemies the Jewish people have around the world, but also from the ultimate enemy, the Yetzer, that has confused people into thinking that they're doing enough, both in the religious and the secular world. It's time we all do more, and Be'ezrat HaShem we succeed. Kol Tuv B'cha V'Hatzlacha.
I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend. We did it. AI Rabbi is here. It's an AI model that is based on kosher Torah sources, 30 different languages that are available to you. So if you want to ask it in Spanish, in Chinese, Portuguese, whatever you want to do, it's available for you. Can you tell me about Rebbi Akiva? So it's time-stamped to the shiur. You press this green button, AI Rabbi on your WhatsApp. You'll have the ability to ask questions at will. You'll be provided sources, and most importantly, you'll be able to know the truth and be able to rely on the sources.